For the last 5 to 10 years, the Fediverse, as it is called, has been the realm of techies and programmers. The interconnected platform that Mastodon is built on, called ActivityPub, was for the most of its time mostly some nerd humor mixed with a lot of stuff about Linux or running an instance. It was only because Twitter could be fed through friendica, and the fact that friendica connected to Diaspora, which is not connected to the Fediverse, that was where most of the G+ users moved to, that I was able to enjoy the Fediverse so much. If you watch my friendica tutorial series, you will see that I was at that point a few years ago trying to get people to create any content just to make the place enjoyable, since it had so much potential. Well, in late October, Musk did for us what we've been trying to do for nearly a decade. Drove traffic over here. As people started freaking out about Musk, I started spam posting to any comment section my little video shorts on the Fediverse, and especially Mastodon. And I'm proud to say that my Twitter handle was one of the top 10 names associated with the word Mastodon, which may well have helped boost the algorithm so enough people learned about it as an alternative. From November to early January, we were swarmed with new people. We spent hours of our time acting as welcoming committees, trying to help people orient themselves in this new world just dumped on our doorstep that had been sitting too empty for too long just waiting to be filled. I had 8 different lists of up to 50 people each that I added to my dump box of random people I found interesting, not to mention the people I had followed on Twitter already. Over time, things settled down, and while some people found it boring and found it too hard to figure out, many put down roots and never want to leave. We will be reaching around 9 million Fediverse accounts next week, from 5 million in late October. It's certainly not Twitter figures, but it's also not bad at an average of 1 million a month, though the slowdown is still here. It's now much lower, but more steady. There was always a journalist here and there who thought they were clever, but never actually invested time in the platform, saying it was essentially a failure. But many journalists are there now and love it. Just in the past few weeks, a lot of people are finally in a normal routine, and we've all realized just how different we all act from when we were on the algorithm-based social media. You can always spot the newbie over here because the Twitter algorithm trains you to be combative and ready to fight. Everyone there is fake. Everyone has a persona. The algorithm literally puts you in a room with people just far enough away from each other ideologically so you fight like bugs when you shake the bottle. You get dopamine hits for followers, often from bots or trolls, especially the most combative or extreme. Everything is a fight. There is constant urgency. Everything is important. Over in the Fediverse, on the other hand, there is no reward or conditioning for being an asshole. In fact, quite the opposite. People following you don't give you that big a dopamine hit. Engagement with your content or posts does. Everyone is inviting you into their space, and you are doing so yourself. Instead of trying to figure out how to be ready to attack or be as blunt or edgy as possible, we are trying to figure out how to create the least waves possible, or to needlessly offend, and present a good faith argument, and make sure everyone's voice and opinion is heard on the issue at hand. On Twitter, if someone disagrees with you, you feel like you need to defend your honor and fight about it. If that happens on Mastodon, it's usually a lot calmer and more nuanced. And if it's not, and the person is being a jerk, it's much more like encountering someone in real life, say at a party. You just kind of back off and hit ignore and move on to more interesting things. Bad behavior isn't rewarded with attention like it is on Twitter. It's the opposite. You get ignored and no one likes you, like in in-person engagements. We have disagreements, but except on that rare occasion, most people hash it out like people in the real world do. Share good stuff and be nice are the true rules of the Fediverse, and people will follow and engage with you. In other words, be excellent to one another and party on. That said, a lot of people on here find it boring and leave. That's because they are used to an algorithm that will entertain them with no effort. It makes their social media as much a passive consumer as watching TV was. People have said that a lack of an algorithm is a big negative in Mastodon, when it's actually a major bonus. It just requires self-curation, an old-school internet skill that has apparently been lost by many. I still remember when Facebook decided to start controlling what you see when they went public and had to make profits for shareholders. So many of us were very unhappy, and I ended up having people I followed that I thought had just stopped posting or unfriended me, only to look at their profile and they posted a lot, but Facebook just decided I didn't need to see them. This created massive bubbles, usually of anger, but the difference was many of us were unaware we were in a bubble because it was all curated for us and an agenda that is to keep us there longer, so you'll see more ads and they will make more money. Mastodon is free and therefore requires some effort, just like anything free. If you put no effort in, it's gonna be boring. A rule of thumb someone said was, as soon as you join, follow 50 people immediately so your feed will be interesting. It's easy, just scroll through the local or global feed and see posts you like. Check out their profile, and if they look interesting, follow them. You can easily unfollow them later. Also, use and follow hashtags heavily. It will really have an impact on finding things you like. Over time, gradually add up to at least 200, and the place will be better than any algorithm could ever create. The best things in life are free money-wise, but require a little bit of effort time-wise. People who have self-curated here love it. They can't imagine going back. Twitter is like a dumpster fire train wreck you can't look away from. The Fediverse is like a good book you can't put down. If you're in a bubble on the Fediverse, you're in one you created mindfully and aren't under the illusion or delusion that this represents the real world. You know exactly how you created it, not how some algorithm created to generate profit to make you angry and keep you there longer, giving you dopamine hit after dopamine hit for going viral or getting a new follower for being a terrible person, often a bot or a troll. Basically, if you want to put some effort in and build a place of your own and interact with people like you would in real life with many of the same positives and negative reinforcements, come on over to the Fediverse. If you want your bubble created for you by a giant company to entertain you passively and get positive feedback for being an uptight, stressed out, hypervigilant, neurotic wreck, stick to the for-profit apps. If you're a business and rely on reach, that is another story, but that's it. Algorithm platforms all promote self-branding, shouting out trying to bring people into the store and commit to following. In the Fediverse, we're all trying to start a conversation and connect with people, and we are all much less stressed out about things and more likely to be calm, more mindful and more charitable in how we interact with each other, instead of immediately assuming the worst like you would on Twitter.